If you're an entrepreneur and your business is not yet registered, if you're looking to grow your registered business, or you're an accomplished professional. Our Elevate program supports you with access to finance, access to markets, access to capacity building. Sign up now or refer a friend at ecobank.com/elevate. Elevate by EcoBank. A better way, a better Africa.
Jar Oil. The company has filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
Santa yàlla.
looy xaar utal Wave nga scan nga fay te nag doo ci yokku dara.
On Tuesday, the 25th of August 2026, this is Coffee Time with Peter Gomez, live on FM 92.1 for the audience in this country, www.wcr.gm for our global audience. Our guest today is Alhaji Usainu Darboe, to most of us, just lawyer Darboe, leader of the UDP for 30 years, and now flag bearer of Gambia First Coalition. Opposition politics allows you to identify problems. Government requires you to make choices between competing priorities. What would be the three hardest decisions a Gambia First government would have to make in its first year? Tough decisions.
Well, tough decisions which people might find to be really negative would be the vigorous fight against corruption. That we have to. Of course, those who are involved in that, in those socially, unacceptable behaviors, will not find such decisions, practicable.
Of course.
And so it will be a tough decision.
So the fight against corruption is top of your list.
Fight against corruption is top of our list. And of course, we want to make sure that spending, in areas that are not priority areas is curtailed. There's a lot of wastage going on.
Wastage like?
Like the use of fuel.
Okay.
I figure we spend millions of dollars in petrol and diesel because of the movements.
Well, that's captured in the budget year in, year out.
But then you have to fight against it. You have to make sure that that is not repeated. Peter, why should the president go on inspecting the progress of road construction? And when he goes, each time he moves out, in fuel alone, and man-hour cost, it's more than $3 million. Isn't that sufficient? Or would it not be sufficient for the Honorable Minister and the Managing Director of NRA to go and do the road inspection? And the Honorable Minister reports back not only to the President, but to the entire Cabinet, the progress that is made.
They're doing it for a reason. What do you think that reason is?
Just learn, Yes. It's all politics. But again, you can certainly use it without making the Gambians pay so much for it. After receiving the report from your minister, you can go on television and tell the Gambian people that, look, this is what I'm doing, and then you show the pictures on television. Well, this is what I'm doing. And going to visit the industries. What is the Minister of Trade and Industries doing? And all this costs a lot of money to the Gambian taxpayer. So these are the things that I consider as wasteful expenditures. And that will be taken care of in the first 3 months of our government. Oh yes, because we will have to review.
We don't even have to wait for a year for that to happen.
Because we'll have to review the budget. Okay. And all those wasteful expenditures, get rid of them and put it in the sectors.
Okay. So the fight against corruption, you will cut wastage.
Will cut wastage.
And the third one would be, I asked for 3.
I mean, the third one, of course, will be discipline. You want to instill discipline.
Where?
In the
civil
public
service?
In the public service. In the public service.
Okay.
In the public service. But not just the civil service, but in the public service. And you also...
What indiscipline do you see now in the public service?
Well, you go to an office and people are busy on their cell phones watching the match between Liverpool and Arsenal.
Well, if the other team was not Arsenal, if it was Liverpool against maybe
Man
some
U.
other... Yes.
Yeah. And then, of course, watching the episode 1 on Senegalese TV. I mean, that is happening. Yeah? Of course, no one is saying that people should not watch football matches, but don't do it during government hours, working hours, during which we are
So how would you tackle that issue? By taking away the televisions from
well,
all these offices?
No, in fact, televisions, I think, should be in the office of ministers, more particularly in the office of Minister of Foreign Affairs.
There should be a television in that office.
To be properly kept abreast
Okay.
with developments in the world.
Okay.
Because things just evolve very quickly. And of course, what should be Gambia's position on any particular issue, we'll expect the Minister of Foreign Affairs to advise the government on that. So they should be kept in constantly. So and it's just not necessarily that the minister, but then the advisors, maybe 1 or 2 advisors, should really be monitoring unfolding of events internationally. Yes.
Yeah, but the Minister of Sports can equally argue that, well, now we have a growing number of Gambians. You hear about Liverpool going after, Yankuba Minte.
Yes.
You could also say, well, since we are funding the national team and everybody is saying Gambia International, Yankuba Minte, I also have to be sure that all these names, that come ultimately as players of the Gambia, that these are actually players who are actively playing. You could use that argument.
I agree. You can use argument.
Yeah.
Any minister can use any argument because the Minister of Trade can tell you that, look, the free movement of goods
exactly.
across the borders.
And Trump is about to impose sanctions on Iran and all of that.
That is right. But then, what is really, for me, what is really would be important is the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Okay, so you will make sure that a government led by Alhaji Ousainou Darboe
that's right.
will have the Minister of Foreign Affairs have televisions, but all the others, they won't have televisions.
And Peter, one thing that we'll definitely address, and we'll start doing within the first 3 months, is the terrible situation in our hospitals.
So the health sector will also...
Yeah. It's not because of lack of commitment by our healthcare workers. I see some of these nurses, when you go to the emergency centers, you see the circumstances, the conditions under which they work is quite trying. And some people, would just lose patience and bust out. But you find them calm. Sometimes it's difficult to determine or to differentiate who is the nurse and who is the patient and who is the escort. So congested. Mattresses on the floor, both at Deban and Banjul. That has to be addressed. You don't, when you take sick people to the hospital, you should put them in situations of comfort so that it could be properly looked after.
So you will do that?
Oh, certainly. Certainly we'll do that. Instead of, really putting Edward Francis Teaching Hospital, find that, the buildings are so close. Even in some areas, ventilation is a problem. You have a lot of space in Deban. I think that's where that should be developed, so that you pressure on both the current Deban emergency unit as well as Banjul, so that you can decongest it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. But where will you find the money for this? Because we are a cash-strapped economy. That's what they tell us.
Well, yeah. We haven't got the money to build all those around the polyclinic in Banjul. It's a question of diverting it to a rightful place. That's what should happen. Why should I take millions of dollars and put it into purchase of buses from Social Security, put into purchase of buses when we have an institution?
But these buses are meant to...
That we have an institution that has been mandated to take care of our transport needs. That institution is the one who should make its own budget and find the money for it. You don't take the pensioners' funds and invest in the buses, and then you turn around and ask the bus corporation to pay for those loans when they were not the contracting borrowers. So I would have taken that money from Social Security, invest it into this type of project.
Into the hospital?
No, absolutely.
It takes a longer time for, the hospital to repay the money than GTSC, is supposed to.
It takes longer. Government should make provision for the repayment. After all, government took that loan. Okay. It took the loan with the intention of paying it until things went on and they wanted to pass the loan. I think they have now passed that loan onto the transport company, which is going to affect the operations of that company. Yes, because these corporations, they plan their investments. Yeah. You don't put them in a situation where they are unable to really do things according to their plans. Their profitability, is affected because they are now looking forward to paying those loans, which they would not have done. They would probably have invested, that money, whatever profit they're making, they would probably have invested it in some areas that would be for the advancement of the company and for the good of the country too.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the economy, because ultimately, whether you succeed or fail will depend on, how much money you have and how you spend the money. That's why you're talking about cutting, leakages, fighting corruption, spending on health, and so on and so forth. The central bank, the CBG, Central Bank of the Gambia, has presented a relatively encouraging picture of the Gambian economy at the end of its recent Monetary Policy Committee meeting, MPC, talking of the economy showing signs of resilience and improving macroeconomic conditions. Do you accept that assessment?
Well, that is the report of the central bank. This sort of report, I really relate it to non-other people. What the central bank is saying is my pocket feeling it the same way. If my pocket is not feeling the same way, then there's something fundamentally wrong with what the bank is presenting. Of course, it's very rare. In fact, in the Gambia, it has been very rare for the central bank to come out and say, look, situations are not good for this country.
Even when everybody knows that
When
the
everybody
situation
knows
is
that.
not good.
No, it's very rare. Yeah. So we take their report and their findings, not totally in good faith, but we take it that really, is it really true in all aspects? Because if what they say is true, then it should reflect on the cost of a tin of tomato, on the packet of cornflakes I buy from the supermarket, on the poultry, the chicken, on the butter that I buy. It should reflect on that. But is it reflected? No. In fact, as we talk now, things are getting more and more expensive. So where is the recovery? Where is the economy getting stable? Because that's really reflect on the living conditions of the people.
Sure. Absolutely.
And if it does not, then I don't want to say the governor is misleading the people. Maybe his own advisor, his own technical, because he's not the one who does all these things on his own. So those people who really collect the information from him, for him may not be giving him the right thing. And then, okay, but also, Peter, don't forget, this election year,
Oh, what are you suggesting?
sometimes you have to make things look good so that the government people say, oh, yes, they are doing the job, honestly. But otherwise, but what I say is that, just reduce it to what my cousin in Darboe, in Bansang, what they feel. What are the prices? How does the prices look like? If it's better than what it was last year, then of course you say, yes, there has been an improvement in the economy of the country, but not otherwise.
Okay. See, if you don't agree with the metrics that the CBG perhaps uses, what would you use as your government's primary measure of whether the economy is actually improving people's lives? As you say, if inflation goes down, yet every day we are paying more for bread, transport, even salt. What benefit is that to tell us that inflation has dropped from 10% to what? So what measure will you use?
Well, the measure I would use is what, as I said, my cousin or my aunt in Darboe in Bansang would. Go do a market survey on prices, even on lettuce, on okra, not to talk of the imported.
That has become very expensive now.
Yeah, not to talk of the imported. It's not expensive because those people who grow okra and sell it, they depend on those earnings to buy the imported commodities. That is why these things go up. So that's the market survey that I would do.
Some of us are thinking of going off Super Kanja. Huh?
Well, Super Kanja is very expensive.
Because the Kanja has become very expensive.
Very expensive, certainly.
So if you win in I know if Lamin and Larry were here, they would say, they would say when. You will inherit a government with debt obligations, a substantial wage bill, and many competing demands. Where would the money for your major new priorities come from?
See, Peter.
Because right now we depend on what? Grants, loans.
Grants and loans. Grants and loans. Peter, one of the things I said I would address during my 5-year term is the economy. There's
no chance of Usainu Darboe running the Gambia for more than 5 years.
Even my family will not accept that. let me just make that clear. Okay. My grandchildren, they wouldn't allow that.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. We are sincerely committed to that. Yes. We will find, of course, a government that has saddled us with enormous wage bill, and we are not certainly not going to interfere with the earnings of the ordinary Gambian public officers. Maybe they are not even being adequately compensated.
Oh, okay.
Maybe they are not even being adequately compensated.
No chance of wages being cut? Possibly you might add on to it.
Possibly might add to it. Because this, I mean, a lot of them, particularly in the senior level, they are really doing good work for this country. The time they spend not really doing things that will retard the progress of the country. And I can't say anything about the borough government, but you cannot say that, you don't have people who are really helping in crafting good policies.
Is that so?
No, it's so. I mean, and these are good civil servants, public servants who are really doing good. The problem with these good policies is their implementation. Because when you have good policies and then political considerations are taken into account in implementing them, then that's where you have the failures.
Absolutely.
So there would be certainly no reduction, no interference with their earnings. If we cannot increase it, we'll leave it as it is.
The question, though, is where will you get the money for this huge wage bill?
Well, currently, the GRA is being used as the vehicle for mobilizing the funds. But I think we will do, after 1 year, there will be a difference. Our export, trade, groundnut, I think will be maximized. The tourism industry, the tourism sector, will be re-energized, and Peter will have to take ownership of our marine resources.
What does that mean?
That when we license any fishing vessel, trawler, you must land your catches in the Gambia here.
Oh, nowhere else.
Process in the Gambia here and exported.
What is happening right now?
They do all their processing on their trawlers or land them in some other countries. And that gives a false statistics of what our water, our fishery stock, it gives a false statistics of what is caught from our waters. Because if you land them in Senegal and they're exported to Europe, it's taking us being caught from Senegal.
Yeah.
So we will have to take charge and control of our fisheries resources. This is not to say that we are not allowing any foreigners to come in. I don't want to be we don't want anybody to really
paint you with this xenophobic brush.
Yes, we don't want that. I don't want anybody to think that we don't want Senegalese to come and fish in our waters. No, we are saying that fish in our waters,
yes,
but then you must land all your catches in the Gambia, process in the Gambia, and that will give employment to our young people and particularly our women, who will be working in the processing in the fish processing factories. We certainly will. Look, the service industries. We are going to ensure that we have laws on offshore banking, offshore insurance operation, registration of ships, offshore trust operations. We are going to make sure that those laws are do not remain our statute, are not being applied. We have to make sure that those type of services are pursued in the country, and really can generate lots of revenue from offshore banking. Okay. Of course, when you allow such type of operations to take place, you also have to have very strict regulations to make sure that your country is not used by drug cartels and people who trade in arms, just to come and dump their illicit earnings in the country here.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. You mentioned GRA, and I'm still, pushing on this issue of where you will get the money to implement some of your projects. Would you increase taxes would you reduce the size of government?
Well, we certainly will reduce the fiscal size of government. Maybe some people will not be happy about this, but I always believe that there should be one Minister of Education.
Oh, no. Listen, this is your government now.
Yeah.
It's not what people think.
No, that's what I'm saying,
Okay.
that I believe.
So there will be one ministry.
I believe that
of
there should be
education.
one Minister of Education.
Okay.
There should not be a Minister of Basic and a Minister of Higher Education.
Okay.
A small country like the Gambia, smaller than some states in Nigeria. Nigeria has only one Minister of Education.
Okay.
So we want to have one Minister of Education.
Yeah. So at least you save one minister's salary.
One minister's
making it one ministry.
Yes. And of course, digital economy, I know appears to be a great fashion now, but can't we have a directorate of digital economy in the Ministry of Finance?
Rather than a ministry,
rather than a standalone ministry. Yes, that we want to have. Yeah? Now, water resources, environment and fisheries.
And natural resources.
Certainly. You can have them as one ministry.
Okay.
And have competent public servants, there are civil servants there, who you have them in units. I think that's where we can also reduce the salaries, the government expenditure and size of government. Yeah? And of course, ministers' salaries would also have to be reviewed, Peter.
Do you think they're too high or too low?
For me, I think it's high. I seek office of the president, the most privileged office in the country. Why should I be the highest paid in that country? A position of privilege.
Don't they go together? That's how most people see it. I mean, if you're holding the highest office in the land, you should earn the highest salary in the land.
But Peter, I've told you that I want that office to be of service to the people. I'm not saying that I want that office so that I can have fat salary. If that was my view, I would have continued in my private practice.
True.
That is my view. And
if the president is currently earning $500,000 from what, apparently nobody wants to discuss the president's salary. What you hear is he's earning $500,000. Somebody has sat here and said 600,000. What will Alhaji Ousainou Darboe accept, as salary for him?
Well, Peter, we have had president's salary here for less than $300,000.
Yeah. Well, we are told that...
No, we have had that here.
Jammeh's final earnings were 270.
We have had that here. Sadauda's earnings were far less than that.
Absolutely.
We have had that here.
Absolutely.
So, what has changed in the office? What added responsibilities have you got? Or has that office attracted since Jammeh left or since Sadauda left? Of course, you are telling me that because of this situation in the country, cost of living has gone up and so forth and so on. Yes, cost of living has gone up. But do you really provide fish money? The pants, are they getting the pants? No.
Who does?
The state.
Oh.
So
I'm in the wrong job. I want to be president.
But Peter, that's what I'm saying. That you are asking for the Gambian people to make you the most privileged person in the country. So the last thing that you should be thinking about is how much I should earn.
Yeah, but the question will be asked though: how much will President Alhaji Ousainou Darboe vote for himself as salary if 500 or 600,000 monthly is too high?
Certainly, will definitely reduce the president's salary.
To what? 300,000?
Could even be less than that.
Oh, okay. 270 back to what they said Jammeh last earned?
Could be less than $300,000. Now, I'll just have to seek legal advice as to how that will operate with the, I think they have the President's Retirement Act, because it says that the President, I think the salaries that he was earning when he retires, continue receiving that. I'll seek legal advice on that, whether it is the salary that the President, the retiring President, is receiving, he must continue on that, or it is the salary of the current President. Because it says that the salary should not be altered to his advantage. Is it salary of the current president that he has to be receiving, or the salary that he receives?
It would be very interesting. The sitting president is earning 270, and the retired president is getting 600,000.
Yeah. We certainly would have to get advice. On that. Yes.
Okay. And in terms of expenditure, what would you cut? This 1 billion, near 1 billion that is voted for State House in the budget, year in, year out?
Well, one thing we'll certainly cut is the household expenditure on the president's household.
Okay.
And when I say president's household, I'm not extending it to what they call that the state guards and so forth.
But that's how they explain that global sum.
For me, the president's household, which he determines who should be in his household. The president shouldn't determine who would be a member of the state guard. But who should be person doing my laundry? The president should determine that. Who will be the person in my kitchen? The president should determine that. Yes. Those ones, honestly, Peter, I pay for my housemates now.
I pay for mine too.
So if I'm receiving so much money, why shouldn't I pay for my housemates?
Good question.
Why shouldn't I tell Aja Sally or Aja my look, I should, if I can do it at home. All the ministers are doing for their at home. All the members of National Assembly, they are feeding themselves. Why shouldn't I, as president, with such a huge amount of money being paid, why shouldn't I take care of my family? Feed them. I should take the responsibility.
So take that burden off the state.
It should be taken off the state. Okay. Should be taken off the state.
All right.